Yours truly, Word Jams. Last episode, we had talked about whether or not a Christian can lose their salvation because um, you can look at certain chapters of the Bible, like Hebrews chapter 11, or you can look at the verse that says, "Their names shall be blotted out of the Lamb's book of life," in the book of Revelation. And you can look at those chapters and speculate maybe that means a Christian can lose their salvation. But proper theology is that no, a born again believer cannot lose their salvation, right? That would be absurd. Salvation is something that cannot be lost. Salvation is what is used to get us to heaven. It's not something that can be lost. But throughout the Bible, we see almost a warning, or I should say an urging, that the salvation is like a seed that was planted in us, and that we have a responsibility to nurture it and to keep on making it grow and making our faith grow. If it doesn't grow, then was it real? That's the question. Because a person who might have claimed to be a Christian and then dropped out of the faith, it's not that they lost their salvation, they never were saved. And it's only a person who continues on with faith till the very end that you'll see that they were true believers. They were truly saved. It's not those people who dropped out of the faith, who might have at one point claimed to be Christian, were never saved. That's a true principle, right? But it's only the people who carried on with the faith that was planted in them and nurtured it and everything. Those were the people that were saved. And that verse where it says their names shall be blotted out of the Lamb's book of life, it's not saying that people who were once in the Lamb's book of life will be blotted out. I think it's more so saying that, more of an urging, that people who thought maybe that they were, for some reason, shall be blotted out. Some self-righteous people, for whatever reason, will find out that they never were in the Lamb's book of life, I think is a better way of interpreting that if I think. You can also look at Hebrews chapter 11, where it says it's impossible for those who were once enlightened, who had tasted the heavenly gift, and who had fallen away, to renew them again unto repentance, seeing they crucified to themselves again the Son of God. Right? So, my dad always used to say, a born again person cannot be unborn, right? You can't be unborn. So no, you cannot lose your salvation. That's the proper doctrine to have. But was the seed that was planted in you at first, the faith that you had heard of, that you had received with joy, was it genuine? Because it's only genuine if it's carried on till the very end. Right? That's salvation, is faith that carries on till the end. A person who drops out never was saved, is the point. So, I hope that explains it really well. I wanted to also discuss another parable in the Bible. It's the parable of the Good Samaritan. The way it goes is a certain man went on a journey, and he was fell among some thieves, and they robbed him and stripped him, and he was beaten. And while he was there, there were people who could have helped him, but they did not. It says, a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment and wounded him and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And a Levite, when he was at that place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. So, what's that saying? There were people who did not help that poor person because they were ritualistic, and they said, we don't associate with these kind of people, they're ritually unclean, I can't help them, I might feel bad for them, but it goes against my principles type of thing. Sort of. But a good Samaritan, as he journeyed, he came where the man was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and bound up his wounds, pouring oil and wine on him, and took him into the inn, and gave the innkeeper money, and said to him, take care of him, and whatsoever he spends, I will come again and repay you. Right? Now, Jesus spoke this parable from his very mouth, and he said, which one of these three men was a neighbor to him that fell among the thieves? And the answer is, it was the one who showed mercy to him. It was the Samaritan, wasn't it? The Levites were supposed to be the righteous people, sort of, right? They were from the tribe of Levi. They were all that, right? But in this case, they didn't do the duty of what Christ had called the world to do, right? They were all ritualistic and whatnot. And I thought to myself as I was reading this parable, who wouldn't help a beaten, robbed person on the streets? Who wouldn't do that? Like, you could find someone on the street who's been beaten up, right, and who's been robbed, and who wouldn't help them? You know, no, anybody would help someone like that, right? I don't think you'd find anybody today who would see someone who's laying half dead on the streets and who's been robbed. I don't think anybody would not help that person. Anybody would. So it got me thinking, what does it mean? How can we apply this to now? How that to me did not make sense, how someone wouldn't help that robbed, beaten person that Jesus was talking about here. That did not make sense to me. So I read, what does that mean? The answer is, it's more so, you know, what makes the parable stand out is about loving your neighbor, crossing boundaries of culture, of religion, or personal comfort. For Christians, you know, that's what it means. It's like, don't make excuses, and this applies to us every single day in our own personal lives. So we have to step out of our comfort zone in order to help people. And it's not just physically, it's not just talking about the physical needs. It's talking about spiritually, emotionally. If you see a friend, and maybe they even look carefree, but you know and you feel led deep down in your heart to go and help those people, to comfort them, to offer some encouragement. It might come at a cost to you, but you feel led to do that, right? And that's what God's saying in that parable, is like, this is something that happens in everyday life, even now. That we have people who need our help, and we have a responsibility to cross our comfort zone sometimes in order to help those people, right? Go beyond the convenience, right? Going out of our way. It's not just talking about the physical needs, but also the emotional needs as well. And don't think to yourself, oh, I can't help, it goes against my principles, and say it's unclean like the Levite did. It's not for me, right? Don't be that person. Don't be a priest, sort of. Don't be self-righteous. Don't be someone who doesn't step out of their comfort zone, but be someone who's willing to offer someone help in any way that you can, right? And if God leads you to it, don't make excuses, is what that's saying. If anybody has anything they'd like me to respond to, please leave a comment on this episode of Word Gems. We'll be back with a new episode. If you would like me to explain something, please just reach out to add it in the comments as well. That being said, see you on the next video of Word Gems.